Michael, tell me he's not married. I married someone else's husband.
I got divorced and moved to Europe 3 months ago. Last weekend, my ex-wife called me crying on her wedding day to another man. What happened next is absolutely insane. So I'm sitting in my apartment in Zurich, watching rain slide down the windows, thinking about how weird it is that you can feel everything and nothing at the same time. 3 months since I signed papers ending my 12-year marriage to Emily. 3 months since I watched her smile while dismantling our life together like she was signing an autograph for a fan. The apartment was still mostly empty. Some boxes, a chair, a mattress I'd bought from IKEA and assembled alone with 3 screws left over, but it was mine. The silence was mine. I'd taken a job as a software consultant in Switzerland 3 weeks after the divorce finalized. The timing was perfect, like the universe giving me an exit door with a neon sign. My phone sat face down on the windowsill. I'd developed this habit, like not seeing the screen would prevent notifications from existing. But I could feel it there, heavy with things I didn't want to know. Tyler, my college roommate and best man at my wedding, had called 3 days ago. He'd used that careful softness people use when they're about to tell you someone died. Emily's getting married, he'd said. This Saturday. To Brandon. To that guy, Brandon. Brandon. Of course it was Brandon. Perfect teeth, tech startup, fancy apartment with exposed brick and a bay view. Brandon, who'd been her work friend for 2 years before becoming her emotional support. Then finally the man she loved. Brandon, who probably never had 3 screws left over when he assembled furniture. They're doing it at the Grand Plaza, Tyler had continued. Big wedding, 200 people. She's posting about it on Instagram, calling it her second chance at happiness. Second chance. Like our marriage had been her practice run. Now it was Saturday evening in Zurich, which meant afternoon in San Francisco, which meant the wedding was probably happening right now. Emily in white again, walking toward a man who wasn't me. I picked up my phone. 43 notifications. Instagram mostly, tags from people who thought I'd want to see. I opened Instagram like you open a letter you know contains bad news. The first photo was Emily and Brandon on the Grand Plaza steps. Her dress was strapless and fitted. His navy suit perfectly tailored. They were laughing. Genuine joy that photos can't fake. Behind them, 200 witnesses to their happiness. I scrolled through more photos. The ceremony, the reception, bridesmaids in dusty rows, groomsmen in matching navy. Then I saw it. A photo of them cutting cake. But it wasn't the cake that made me stop. It was the woman standing behind them, partially obscured but visible. A woman in her 60s with silver hair and a jade green dress and an expression I recognized because I'd worn it myself. For months before the divorce, she looked like someone who knew something that hurt. The caption was from someone named Jennifer, one of Emily's work friends. So happy you could burst. Best wedding ever. Fairy tale wedding. True love. But there, buried in the comments, was something else from an account I didn't recognize. Beautiful ceremony, though I wonder if the groom's wife knows he's on his honeymoon. My breath caught. I clicked, but it had already been deleted, scrubbed from the record. But I'd seen it. Those words had been real. Then my phone started ringing. Emily's name lit up the screen. Emily, who hadn't called me once since the divorce. Emily, who'd communicated only through lawyers. Emily was calling me on her wedding day. I should have let it go to voicemail. But you know what car receipts are like? They're proof you paid for something. Sometimes you want to know exactly what you bought. I answered. Michael. Her voice was tight, strained. I need you to tell me something. Did you know about Brandon? Did you know? I had no idea what she was talking about. Emily, I don't know what you mean. I'm in Switzerland. I've been here for 3 months. F, she whispered. Then louder. F, F, F. What happened? But she'd already hung up. I stood there with dead air in my ear, thinking about that comment. The deleted comment. The woman in the jade green dress. I wonder if the groom's wife knows he's on his honeymoon. Wife, present tense, not ex-wife. I opened my laptop and did what any software consultant would do. I started searching. Brandon Collins, San Francisco, tech startup. His LinkedIn, company website, Twitter feed full of motivational quotes. Then, buried on page 3 of Google results, I found it. A Society page article from 2 years ago. A fundraising gala. The photo showed Brandon in a tuxedo, arm around a woman in a silver gown. The caption read, Brandon Collins, CEO of Next Gen Technologies, with wife Jessica Collins at the annual Innovation Gala. Wife Jessica Collins, 2 years ago. I searched more, found their wedding announcement from 4 years prior, photos of them at various events over 5 years, evidence of an entire marriage that had existed parallel to Brandon's relationship with Emily. My hands were shaking. I searched for divorce records. Nothing. No legal separations, no announcements. Then I found Jessica's Facebook page, privacy settings loose enough to see her profile photo from 3 weeks ago. Jessica smiling at the camera, wearing a wedding ring, standing in what looked like the same apartment Emily used to visit. Brandon Collins was still married, which meant Emily had just married a married man. Her fairy tale wedding was built on a lie that would unravel the moment anyone looked. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. Call me back, please. I stared at those words. All the times I'd wanted to hear please from her during the divorce. Now she needed me. I could have ignored it. I'd earned the right to let her suffer alone. But here's the thing about being the person who got left. You know exactly how it feels to be abandoned when you need someone most. And you have a choice. You can become the thing that hurt you, or you can be better than that. I typed back, I'll call you in 10 minutes, but first, what did the guest say? The reply came almost immediately. She said Brandon's wife wants her husband back. Just like that, the story I thought I knew became something else entirely. I called her back. Michael, she answered before the first ring finished. Just my name. But the way she said it, breathless and desperate, told me everything. Tell me what happened, I said. She inhaled, shaky. The wedding was perfect. Everything went exactly as planned. The ceremony was beautiful. The vows were perfect. Brandon cried. I cried. Everyone cried. I waited. The reception was at the Grand Plaza Ballroom. 200 people, everyone we knew. The dinner was incredible. Filet mignon and Chilean sea bass, champagne that cost more per bottle than our entire wedding bar budget. Our wedding. She kept saying our wedding when she meant mine and hers. Everything was perfect until the speeches, she continued. Brandon's father went first, then my mom, then the best man, all normal. And then this woman stood up. I didn't know her. I'd never seen her before. She wasn't on the guest list. What did she look like? Older, 60s maybe? Silver hair, green dress, jade green. She walked up to the microphone like she had every right to be there. And she smiled. And she said, Emily's voice dropped to a whisper. She said, I'm Patricia Anderson, and I'm here on behalf of Jessica Collins, who couldn't attend today because she's home with the flu. Jessica wanted me to convey her congratulations and to remind Brandon that she'll be waiting for him when he returns from his honeymoon. As his wife of 4 years, she's very understanding about his extracurricular activities. The silence that followed must have been profound. 200 people in a ballroom, champagne glasses frozen, everyone processing what they'd just heard. What did Brandon do? I asked. He stood up. He was pale. God, Michael, I've never seen anyone go that white that fast. He said there had been a mistake. He tried to laugh it off, said it was obviously a prank. Very funny, haha, let's move on. But Patricia wasn't done. She pulled out her phone, said she had Jessica on video call, asked if we'd like to meet her. Emily's voice cracked. Brandon ran. He literally ran out of the ballroom. Just left me there at our wedding in front of 200 people. I closed my eyes. What did you do? I stood there like an idiot. Patricia was still at the microphone saying how Jessica had suspected for a year, but only recently confirmed it. How she'd hired a private investigator. How she had evidence, receipts, photos, text messages, everything. Margaret is Jessica's mother, Emily finished. Jessica's mother crashed my wedding to expose her son-in-law's bigamy. Bigamy. The word hung there. Emily, I said carefully, did you have any idea Brandon was married? No, God, no. How could I? I was at his apartment all the time. I met his friends, his family, his business partners. There was no wife, no signs, nothing. But there had been signs. There always are. Where are you now? I asked. The bridal suite at the Grand Plaza. I locked myself in. After Brandon ran, Patricia left. Most of the guests left. My mother is downstairs trying to manage the situation. Brandon's father is screaming about lawsuits. It's a nightmare. I heard her crying, not delicate tears, the ugly crying of someone whose reality had just collapsed. Emily, I said, surprised by how gentle my voice sounded. Why did you call me? The question caught her off guard. I don't know, she said finally. You were the first person I thought of. Isn't that insane? I left you. I divorced you. I married someone else, and when everything fell apart, you were the person I needed to talk to. There was something almost funny about that in a cosmic universe has a twisted sense of humor way. Have you talked to Brandon? I asked. He's been calling nonstop, texting. He says it's complicated and that Jessica's his wife on paper, but they've been separated for 2 years, that he was going to divorce her, but it was messy because of the business, that he loves me, that this doesn't change anything. Do you believe him? I don't know what to believe anymore. I walked to my window. The Zurich skyline was lighting up, building by building. Emily, listen, I need you to think clearly. If Brandon's been separated from Jessica for 2 years, why wouldn't anyone know? Why wouldn't his family know? His friends, his business partners? He said he kept it quiet because of the company, because investors don't like instability in leadership, because he was waiting for the right time. And you think the right time was after marrying someone else? I don't know. I don't know what to think. I could hear panic rising in her voice. Okay, I said, here's what you're going to do. First, stop answering Brandon's calls. Block his number for tonight. You need space to think. Second, ask your mother to find out everything she can about Patricia Anderson and Jessica Collins. If Patricia showed up with evidence, she has a reason. Find out what it is. Third, get out of that wedding dress, order room service, pour yourself the most expensive whiskey from the minibar, and let yourself feel this. Don't try to fix it tonight. I don't want to feel it. I know, but you're going to have to eventually. Might as well be now. She laughed. A broken sound, but a laugh. When did you get so wise? Zurich, I said. They put wisdom in the chocolate here. Another broken laugh. Michael, yeah, I'm sorry for everything, for how I ended things. Emily, stop. You don't need to do anything except survive tonight. Apologies can wait. Okay, she whispered. We were quiet for a moment. Will you answer if I call again? She asked. It was a fair question. I don't know, I said honestly. Ask me tomorrow. Fair enough. Emily? One more thing. When you talk to your mother, ask her to find out if Brandon's company is publicly traded. If it is, ask what happens to stock prices when the CEO's personal life becomes a scandal. I heard her breath catch. If Brandon had kept his marriage secret for business reasons, then exposing it publicly at a wedding in front of investors and business partners wouldn't just destroy his personal life. It would destroy his professional life too. I'll find out, Emily said. Good. Now go. Try to sleep. Thank you, Michael, for listening, for not being cruel when you had every right to be. Cruelty is easy, I said. Being decent is hard. We hung up. I stood in my empty apartment, surrounded by unpacked boxes, and thought about how outside Zurich, people were having dinner, couples were walking by the lake, somewhere someone was probably getting married. And somewhere in San Francisco, Emily was taking off her wedding dress and confronting the reality that the life she'd chosen was built on lies. I opened my laptop again and searched for next-gen technologies. Found their stock ticker, quarterly reports, Brandon's name as CEO, and majority shareholder. Then I searched for Jessica Collins again. Found her LinkedIn, professional history, board positions, and there, buried in her bio, was the detail that made everything click. Jessica Collins wasn't just Brandon's wife. She was the daughter of Robert Anderson, founder of Anderson Industries, one of the largest tech manufacturing companies in the Pacific Rim. Patricia Anderson's husband. Jessica's father. Brandon's primary investor. Brandon's entire company was funded by his father-in-law's money. If Brandon divorced Jessica, that money would disappear, which meant Brandon had been trapped between a marriage he wanted to leave and a business he couldn't afford to lose. So he'd done what trapped people do. He'd tried to have both. He'd kept Jessica as his wife on paper, his business partner in reality, his connection to the money, and he'd kept Emily as his lover, his escape, his fantasy of a different life. Until Patricia Anderson decided enough was enough. I closed my laptop and thought about how we're all just characters in stories we don't completely understand, making choices based on incomplete information. Emily had called me because I was safe, because I was 7,000 miles away. Because she knew I'd been where she was now, standing in wreckage, trying to figure out what to do next. The difference was I'd been pushed. She'd jumped. And now she was learning what I'd learned, that the fall is the same either way. My phone buzzed, a text from Tyler. Dude, did you see Emily's Instagram? She deleted everything from the wedding. What the hell happened? I typed back, long story, call you tomorrow. Then I poured myself whiskey and sat in my chair with the mystery screws and let myself feel something I hadn't felt in 3 months. Not happiness exactly, not satisfaction, but maybe a sense that the universe occasionally balances its books. Sunday morning, I woke to 12 texts, 4 missed calls, 2 voicemails, all from Emily. The first text came at 2:47 a.m. my time, 5:47 p.m. in San Francisco. I took your advice, blocked Brandon, talked to my mom. You were right about everything. 3:15 a.m., she found Patricia's contact info, going to call her tomorrow. 3:33 a.m., can't sleep. Keep thinking about all the times Brandon canceled plans, said it was work. Was he with her? With Jessica? 3:52 a.m., found photos on Jessica's Facebook. She kept them public. There's one from last Christmas. Brandon in a Santa hat. Her parents' house. Big family gathering. He told me he was in New York for a conference. 4:20 a.m. I'm so stupid. I'm so damn stupid. The texts stopped. Then 7:15 a.m. Are you awake? I need to tell you something. I texted back, I'm awake. What is it? Can I call you? Give me 10 minutes. Need coffee first. I made coffee, strong this time, and called her back. Hey. Her voice was rough, exhausted. You sound terrible. I look worse. Did you sleep at all? Maybe 2 hours. I kept waking up thinking it was a dream, then remembering it was real. Did you call Patricia? I asked. This morning at 7 my time. I didn't think about whether it was too early. I just needed to know. And she answered like she was expecting my call. Emily moved, fabric rustling. She was nice, Michael. That's what I can't get over. She wasn't cruel or vindictive. She was kind, patient, like a teacher explaining something difficult. What did she tell you? Everything. Emily's voice dropped. Jessica and Brandon got married 4 years ago. Young love, whirlwind romance. Brandon had just started Next Gen. It was basically him and a laptop. Jessica believed in him, so did her father. Robert Anderson put in the initial investment, $2 million, but there were conditions. Let me guess, I said. The marriage was one of them. Not explicitly, but close enough. Robert wanted to know his investment was tied to someone he could trust, someone connected by more than a business contract. So Brandon married Jessica, and Robert kept writing checks. The pieces were assembling themselves. When did it go wrong? I asked. About 2 years into the marriage. Brandon's company was growing fast. He was traveling constantly. Jessica's a trauma surgeon, working 80-hour weeks. They were ships passing in the night. They grew apart but didn't divorce. Because by then, Next Gen was worth $50 million, and Robert Anderson's money was woven through everything. The company structure was complicated. Robert owned 30%, Brandon owned 40%, rest was split between early investors. But Robert's shares came with special voting rights. If Brandon divorced Jessica, Robert could force him out of his own company. I whistled low. That's one hell of a prenup. Right, so Brandon was stuck. He couldn't leave Jessica without losing everything, but he wasn't happy. The marriage was dead. They were roommates who showed up at family events together. Enter you, enter me. Emily's voice turned bitter. Derek told me he was single, that he'd had a serious relationship that ended badly, that he wasn't ready for anything intense at first. But then he met me and everything changed. He made me feel special, Michael. I didn't say anything. According to Patricia, Brandon's done this before. Not marriage, that was new, but the cheating. There have been other women. Affairs that Jessica knew about, but tolerated because divorce wasn't an option. So why did Patricia crash your wedding? Because Brandon crossed a line. The affairs were one thing. Jessica could live with that as long as they were discreet. But marriage, bigamy, that was different. That was illegal. That was a scandal that could destroy the company, the family reputation, Robert's business relationships. So Jessica sent her mother to stop it. Not exactly. Patricia says Jessica didn't know about the wedding until a week before. One of Brandon's business partners posted something on LinkedIn congratulating him. Jessica saw it, confronted Brandon. He swore it was a mistake. But he didn't handle it. So Jessica hired a private investigator, got proof of everything: the wedding plans, the venue, the marriage license application, which Brandon committed fraud on by claiming he was unmarried. That's a felony in California. I processed this. Brandon hadn't just been careless. He'd been criminal. Jessica wanted to stop the wedding quietly, Emily continued. She tried calling Brandon. He wouldn't answer. She tried calling the venue. They said only the couple could cancel. She tried calling me. Did you answer? No. I didn't recognize the number. I was busy with wedding stuff. I let it go to voicemail. She didn't leave a message. If Emily had answered that call, everything would have been different. So Jessica told her mother, Emily said, and Patricia decided that if we were going to have a public wedding, we'd have a public revelation too. What now? I asked. Where does this leave you? Legally, I'm not sure. Patricia says the marriage isn't valid because Brandon was already married when we applied for the license. So technically, I'm not married. The ceremony was just theater. What about emotionally? The question caught her off guard. I don't know, she whispered. I keep thinking about the last 2 years. Everything Brandon said, every promise, every time he said he loved me. Was any of it real? Does it matter? I said. If it was real for him, it was real for you. Your feelings were real. The choices you made were real. The consequences are real. What Brandon felt, that's his story. You have to figure out yours. She was crying again, softly. How are you so calm about this? I left you for him. I divorced you because I thought Brandon was better, and now you're helping me through the worst day of my life. How are you not gloating? It was a fair question. Part of me is glad this happened, I said. Part of me felt satisfied when I heard about your wedding imploding. Part of me thinks you earned this pain. But the bigger part remembers what it felt like when you left. How small I felt. How worthless. And I remember thinking I wouldn't wish that on anyone, not even you. Michael, I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. I'm saying it because you asked for the truth. The truth is I'm human enough to feel vindicated and decent enough to help you anyway. Both things can be true. The silence stretched between us. Thank you, she said finally. For being honest. For being here. For being better than I was. I'm not better, I'm just further along in the process. You'll get here too. We talked for a while longer about lawyers and damage control and how Emily would handle work. She was taking a leave of absence. By the time we hung up, the sun was fully up in Zurich. Monday morning, start of a new week. By Monday morning San Francisco time, the fallout truly began. I learned this from Tyler, who called me at 4:30 a.m. Zurich time. You need to see this, he said. Check TechCrunch, Forbes, Bloomberg. Brandon's getting eviscerated. I was already opening my laptop. What happened? Jessica went public. Full statement. Her lawyer released it Sunday evening. It's everywhere. The Forbes article loaded. The headline was brutal. Next Gen Technologies CEO Brandon Collins exposed. Marriage fraud allegations rock Silicon Valley. I read the article. Jessica's statement through her attorney addressed what she called a pattern of deception and fraud by her husband. The statement detailed that Jessica had filed for divorce and was seeking investigation into potential fraud in Brandon's business dealings. Robert Anderson released a brief statement through Anderson Industries. We are reviewing all business relationships and investment positions in light of recent revelations. NextGen's stock dropped 23% in after-hours trading. 23%, I said to Tyler, in one day. And that's just the beginning. This is going to be a bloodbath. Where's Emily in all this? That's the interesting part. She's not mentioned by name in Jessica's statement, just described as another woman. Jessica's lawyers painting Emily as a sufferer of Brandon's deception. Jessica was being strategic. She wasn't going after Emily. She was going after Brandon. And by framing Emily as another sufferer, Jessica was making this about Brandon's pattern of behavior. Has Emily seen this? I asked. No idea. You're the one she's calling these days. Before I could decide whether to give Emily a heads up, she called me. Tell me you haven't seen the news. She said immediately. I've seen it. How bad is it? I walked her through the statement. Jessica's strategic framing, the focus on Brandon's fraud rather than relationship drama, the way Emily was being positioned as a sufferer. I don't feel like a sufferer, Emily said. I feel like an idiot. Those aren't mutually exclusive. Brandon's stock dropped 23%. His company's going to implode. Probably. Good, she said. The word came out hard, sharp. Good. Let it burn. There it was, the anger. The rage building underneath shock and sadness. You're allowed to be angry, I said. I'm furious. I went through every text message Brandon ever sent me, every single one. And you know what I found? Everything was a lie. Every I love you was a lie. Every I can't wait to build a life with you was a lie. Her voice was rising, getting louder. Years of controlled Emily cracking open. I was the other woman, Michael. I thought I was the love story. But I was just the dirty secret. I was so sure I was trading up. I told myself you weren't ambitious enough, successful enough. I told myself Brandon was everything you weren't. And you know what? I was right. He was everything you weren't. He was a liar, a fraud, a man who needed 2 whole lives to feel like one person. She was crying now, but different, cleaner, the kind of crying that comes with clarity. You were a good husband, she said. Not perfect, but good, honest, faithful. You showed up, you tried, and I threw that away because Brandon had a better apartment and made me feel special. Emily, you don't have to. Yes, I do. You've been so kind to me. You shouldn't have been. You should have laughed, but you didn't. You helped me. And I need you to know, and I see that. I didn't know what to say, so I said nothing. My lawyer called this morning, Emily said, her voice calmer. The marriage isn't valid. Brandon committed fraud. So legally, I'm still Emily Chen, still divorced from you, never married to Brandon. The whole thing was theater. We talked about legal strategy, about how she'd handle the aftermath. Eventually, we said goodbye. After hanging up, I sat there thinking about how strange it was that I'd come all this way to escape my marriage's wreckage, only to find myself pulled back into Emily's. 3 weeks passed. Emily hadn't called. She'd texted occasionally, brief updates. She'd enrolled in a graduate program for counseling psychology. Moved to a smaller apartment, started rock climbing. Sent photos of herself looking more herself than I'd seen in years. I sent photos of Zurich, my completed apartment. Our messages were friendly, boundaried, healthy. I'd started seeing a therapist because Zurich takes mental health seriously. Work was good. I'd made friends. I was building a life. Then, on a Tuesday evening, my phone rang, a San Francisco number I didn't recognize. Is this Michael Chen? A man's voice, professional. My name is Robert Walsh. I'm an attorney with Walsh & Associates. I represent Dr. Jessica Collins in her divorce proceedings. My stomach dropped. Okay, how can I help? I'm calling because Derek Morrison has filed a lawsuit against multiple parties, including you. The words didn't compute. I'm sorry, what? Brandon Collins has filed a civil suit alleging defamation, tortious interference, and conspiracy. The named defendants are Dr. Jessica Collins, Patricia Anderson, Emily Chen, and you. I sat down. That's insane. I haven't done anything. Mr. Collins' lawsuit alleges that all 4 defendants engaged in a coordinated effort to destroy his reputation and business. He claims you specifically provided information to Emily that was used to turn her against him, that you conspired with Dr. Collins and her mother, that you bear partial responsibility for his bankruptcy. I actually laughed. The absurdity was breathtaking. That's not even remotely true. I was in Zurich when all this happened. I barely knew what was happening until after. I believe you, Mr. Chen, and this lawsuit is frivolous, but it's real, and you'll need representation. We talked for 20 minutes. He gave me attorney names, explained the timeline. After hanging up, I sat staring at nothing. Brandon was suing me for ruining his reputation. Emily called 5 minutes later. Did you get a call from a lawyer? 30 seconds ago. You? 5 minutes ago. Brandon is suing us. All of us. Did you hear what he's claiming? Conspiracy, defamation, complete fiction. This is going to cost thousands in legal fees to defend against a lawsuit we did nothing to deserve. I could hear panic in her voice. Emily, breathe. The lawsuit is frivolous. Any competent attorney will get it dismissed. But what if they don't? That won't happen. The facts don't support it. Brandon lied on legal documents. Brandon committed bigamy. The truth is on our side. The truth didn't stop him from filing. Call a lawyer. Let them handle it. Focus on your life, your program. Don't let Brandon pull you back into his chaos. You're right. This is just Brandon being Brandon. Get a lawyer. Let them deal with it. After we hung up, I called Tyler. You're not going to believe this. Brandon's suing you. How do you already know? Emily's lawyer called me. Wants to depose me about your whereabouts. I told them you were in Zurich being sad about your divorce, not orchestrating revenge plots. What else do you know? Tyler paused. I heard keyboard clicking. Brandon filed the lawsuit pro se. That means he's representing himself. No lawyer would take this case. I found a copy online. It's public record. It's unhinged. Reads like a diary entry. He literally wrote, "The defendants conspired to destroy my life because they were jealous of my success." Send me the link. 5 minutes later, I was reading it. Tyler was right. It was 43 pages of conspiracy theories about how Jessica, her mother, Emily, and I had coordinated to destroy him. None of it was true. None of it made sense. The timeline was wrong. The facts were wrong. Brandon had created a fantasy where he was the sufferer instead of the architect of his own downfall. I called Jessica's lawyer back. I read the lawsuit. It's insane. It is. The good news is that makes it easier to dismiss. The bad news is you'll still need to respond. How much will this cost? Probably $5,000 to $10,000 to file a motion to dismiss. $5,000 to $10,000 to defend myself against lies from a man who'd already cost me months of grief. That evening, I got an email from Jessica. "Daniel, I'm sorry you've been dragged into this. My lawyer says we should coordinate responses. I also want you to know I'll cover your legal fees. This is partially my fault." I typed a response. "Jessica, this isn't your fault. You didn't force Brandon to commit fraud or file a frivolous lawsuit. I appreciate the offer, but I can handle it. Let's coordinate the response and get this dismissed." Her response came an hour later. "You're stubborn, fine. But if you change your mind, the offer stands. Also, Emily called me. She's spiraling. She might need to hear from you." I considered calling Emily, decided against it. She needed to learn to manage her own anxiety. I could be supportive without being her primary support system. Instead, I researched California attorneys and sent consultation requests. Then I made myself tea and sat at my window looking out at Zurich. Tomorrow I'd deal with lawyers and lawsuits. Tonight I'd just be here. The lawsuit was dismissed in 6 weeks. 6 weeks of legal correspondence and depositions via video call from Zurich at ungodly hours. The judge's ruling was scathing. The court finds that plaintiff's complaint fails to state a claim. The allegations are not supported by facts, but by speculation and conspiracy theories. The plaintiff appears to be attempting to hold defendants responsible for consequences that resulted from plaintiff's own fraudulent actions. This lawsuit is frivolous and borders on vexatious litigation. Motion to dismiss is granted. Plaintiff is ordered to pay defendants' attorney fees. Brandon would have to pay our legal fees, about $40,000, money he didn't have, but the principle mattered. The judge had seen through Brandon's delusions. Emily called the day the ruling came down. "We won. The judge destroyed him." I saw. Do you feel vindicated? I feel relieved. Vindication would require caring more about Brandon than I do. Mostly, I'm glad it's over. "Amanda wants to celebrate," Emily said. "She's suggesting the 4 of us get together. Her mom, you and me. Some kind of survivor's party. I told her you're in Zurich, but she said she'd fly us to somewhere neutral." I considered this. The 4 people Brandon had tried to destroy gathering to celebrate his failure. There was poetic justice to it. "What do you think?" I asked. "Do you want to do that?" "I don't know. Part of me does. Part of me thinks it would be healthier to let this fade, but Jessica seems to think we need closure." "Then consider what you need. Not what Jessica needs, not what I need. What do you need?" She was quiet. "I think I need to see you, not romantically, but as proof that we can both be okay in the same room. Proof that we survived." "Okay," I said, "then let's do it, but somewhere warm." Emily laughed. "I'll tell her. She'll probably suggest something ridiculous." It ended up being Lisbon. Jessica organized everything. A boutique hotel, restaurant reservations, a weekend itinerary. We'd agreed to meet Friday at 7, dinner at 8. I flew from Zurich on a Friday in early March. Spring was arriving, bringing that quality of light that makes everything feel possible. I arrived first, checked in, stood on my balcony overlooking the Tagus River, thinking about how impossible this would have seemed 6 months ago. Emily arrived 20 minutes later. I was in the hotel bar when she walked in. She saw me, smiled, walked over. "Hey," she said. "Hey." We hugged, only slightly awkward. Progress. "You look good," she said. "Zurich agrees with you. You look different. Good different." I cut my hair, been climbing 3 times a week. Turns out anger is excellent motivation. We ordered drinks and talked while waiting for Jessica and Patricia. The conversation flowed easily, surprisingly. We talked about Emily's program, my work, the absurdity of Brandon's lawsuit. Jessica and Patricia arrived together, both carrying themselves with the confidence of women who'd survived scandal and emerged stronger. Introductions were made, handshakes, the slight awkwardness of meeting people you've only known through crisis. Over dinner, we talked around Brandon at first. Safe topics, travel, work, Lisbon's beauty. But eventually we circled back. It was Patricia who broached it. "I think we should address the elephant in the room. Or rather, the absent man who brought us together, Brandon." Jessica looked at her mother. "Do we need to?" "We can," Patricia said, "but I don't think we will, not fully, not until we acknowledge what happened." "Okay," Jessica said, "then let's acknowledge it. Brandon lied to all of us. He manipulated situations, he hurt people, he faced consequences. The end. Can we move on?" "Can we?" Patricia pressed. "You're still angry, Jessica." "Of course I'm still angry. He wasted 4 years of my life. He used my father's money. He humiliated me publicly. Yes, I'm angry, but I'm handling it." "How?" I asked. The question surprised me as much as it seemed to surprise Jessica. "What do you mean? How are you handling the anger? What does that look like?" Jessica studied me. "I throw myself into work. I've been taking extra shifts. I signed up for Doctors Without Borders specifically because it's in a place with no internet. I'm literally going to a war zone to get away from my feelings." "That sounds healthy," Emily said dryly. "It's not," Jessica admitted. "I know it's not. My therapist has pointed this out, but I don't know how else to handle it. I'm good at fixing broken bodies, terrible at fixing broken emotions." "You don't fix emotions," I said. "You just let them be there, let them exist." Patricia looked at me with approval. "You've done that work, haven't you?" "I'm still doing it. It's not finished. But I'm better at sitting with discomfort now." Emily had been quiet. "I've been angry too," she said. "At Brandon, at myself. But underneath the anger, I think what I really feel is embarrassed. I fell for someone who was lying about everything. What does that say about my judgment? It says you're human." Patricia said, "You trusted someone who presented themselves as trustworthy." "There were no signs," Jessica said. "Brandon was good at compartmentalization. I didn't know about you for 2 years, and I was married to him." Emily looked at Jessica. 2 women who'd both loved the same man, both been deceived. "I'm sorry," Emily said quietly, "for my part in your pain. I know I didn't know, but I still participated." "I know," Jessica said. "I accepted your apology months ago." They held eye contact, some understanding passing between them. "What about you, Michael?" Patricia asked. "You were hurt before Brandon even entered the picture. How are you handling your anger?" I thought about the divorce, the betrayal, the months of feeling inadequate. "I'm not angry anymore," I said. "At least not most days. Some days I wake up and remember everything, but mostly I just feel neutral." Emily leaving hurt. Emily leaving for Brandon hurt worse. But it also gave me permission to leave too, to build something new. I'm grateful for that. "You're grateful I left you?" Emily asked. "Not grateful you left. Grateful for what came after. For Zurich, for the person I'm becoming. If you hadn't left, I might have stayed in a marriage that was suffocating both of us. You were brave enough to end it. I benefited from that bravery." Emily's eyes were wet. "That's the kindest interpretation of what I did. It's just one way of looking at the same facts." Patricia raised her glass. "To freedom, then, however we find it." We all raised our glasses, clinked them together, drank. The dinner continued. We talked about future plans, Jessica's fellowship, Emily's program, my potential permanent position in Zurich. We talked about everything except Brandon. He'd become irrelevant, a footnote. After dinner, we walked through Alfama. The narrow streets, the fado music, the yellow trams, the beauty of a city that had survived and remained defiantly beautiful. We ended up at a viewpoint overlooking the river, the four of us looking out at lights reflecting on water. "This is strange," Emily said. "The four of us here together." "Life is strange," Jessica said. "We make plans. The universe laughs. We adapt." "Or we don't," Patricia added. "Some people never adapt. They stay stuck, blaming everyone else. Like Brandon." "Do you think he'll ever change?" Emily asked. "No," Jessica said flatly. "He'll spend the rest of his life believing he was wronged. That's who he is. And that's not our problem anymore." "And never was," I said. "His choices were always his own. We just got caught in the blast radius." We stood in silence, four people bound by shared trauma, standing at the edge of Europe, looking out at the Atlantic. "I'm glad we did this," Jessica said. "This weekend, this closure. I wasn't sure we needed it, but I think we did." "Agreed," Emily said. "I feel lighter." "What about you, Michael?" Patricia asked. "Do you feel closure?" I thought about that word. The idea that stories have endings, that pain can be resolved. "I don't know if I believe in closure," I said. "I think we carry everything with us. We don't close those chapters. We just turn the page and start writing new ones. The old ones are still there, still part of the book, but they're not the page we're on anymore." "That's very philosophical," Jessica said. "That's the Swiss chocolate talking." They all laughed. We stayed at that viewpoint for another hour, talking and not talking, being together without needing to fill silence. Eventually, we walked back, made plans for breakfast, hugged goodnight. In my room, I stood on the balcony again, looking out at Lisbon. I thought about Brandon, about where he was now, what he was doing, and I realized I didn't care. Not in a bitter way, I just genuinely didn't care. Brandon had been a chapter in my story, an important one, a painful one, but not the defining one. The defining chapter was what came after. Zurich, growth, learning to be alone without being lonely, learning to help others without losing myself. My phone buzzed, a text from Emily. "Thank you for coming. Thank you for being you. This weekend mattered." I typed back, "Thank you for asking me. Sleep well." Then I put my phone down and went to bed. Tomorrow we'd have breakfast, walk around Lisbon, maybe visit museums or just sit in cafes. And then we'd all go back to our separate lives. Emily to San Francisco in grad school. Jessica to her fellowship. Patricia to her work. Me to Zurich, to my apartment with real furniture. To my friends and my Sunday basketball games. To my life, the one I'd built from wreckage. And that was the real closure. Not a weekend in Lisbon. Not a judge's ruling. Not even Brandon's downfall. Just the quiet certainty that I was okay. That I'd survived. That I was building something worth building. And that was enough.